Jai Pancho Tata, Jai Pancho Tata, Pancho Tata, Jai Pancho Tata. Jaya Shara Shami, Jaya Shara Shami, Shara Shami, Jaya Shara Shami. Jaya Guru Parampara, Jaya Guru Parampara, Guru Parampara, Jaya Guru Parampara. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Shiva Prabhupada, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Shiva Guru Deva. Namaskar Giriraj Thakur ji. Then से कहा जय श्री कृष्ण की श्री राज गुरु श्री राधा कृष्ण को दर्शन श्री नावदी नाम श्री 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 राम all always Gravira Mahavishnu Jalan Observatory Foundation. Rudya Mahavishnu Jalan Observatory Foundation. Rudya Mahavishnu Jalan Observatory Foundation. Rudya Mahavishnu Jaya Krishna Kadeta Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadishna
Hare Krishna, Samyukta Mataji, Vanilla Mataji, Sapan Prabhu. Let us wait for 5 more minutes and we'll start, okay? Yeah. You are able to hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Let us wait for 5 more minutes and then we'll start. So meanwhile, let us do our Tulsi prayer here morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krsna, Prayasena. Vilas Kunjari Yoga, Vasi Krishna Prayasena. I'm sitting there, Mother. Yeah, let them show the darshan. Yeah, Hare Krishna again, Samyukta Mata, even Mata, Sapan Prabhu. Please take darshan of deities, and then we'll start. Okay. Shashi Gaurnida in yellow, beautiful dress. Shri Radha Madhava, Jana Baldev Sudha Devi, Krishna Balaram, Chota Gopal, then Gaurnita, Chota Gaurnita, Guru Parampara. Yes. Hare Krishna. So let us start. Okay. Just give me a minute.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Wonderful darshan. Thank you.
Darshan, wonderful Vaishnavi, Gaudiya Vaishnavi.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Pranam.
Okay. Continue. Morning, so 1 second. We'll start. Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukhaṁ karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripa tamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Om apavitra pavitro va sarvavastam gatopi va yasmaret pundarikaksham sabhyabhyantaram suchihi Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu. So now today onwards we'll read Krishna consciousness, the matchless gift. Viluva gattaledi. There is no price. In the material world, everything is a price. Right? If we go to work, we get salary. If we go for market, we purchase something with some money. But Krishna consciousness is matchless, priceless gift. And very rare to achieve, very rare to get this matchless and priceless gift. Right? After many, many births, we come into the platform of pure devotional service, Bhakti Yoga. So it's a priceless. There is no price. Viluva gattalema. So that's what it is. A very beautiful book written by Srila Prabhupada long back. So let us open the book 1 second. Yeah. You are able to see, right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Yeah, right. Yeah, thank you, Mother. Yeah, Krishna consciousness, the matchless gift. So let us read. I'll expand just a minute. Yeah. Culver City. Actually, this was the Los Angeles. I had been there for some time. This Los Angeles. 1974 version, 25,000 prints in that time. BBT, Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. Yes. Number 1, first chapter. Yeah, spiritual knowledge through Krishna. Very beautiful book. Let us focus. Yeah. So Venela Mother, please start.
Chapter 1, Spiritual Knowledge through Krishna. The aim of this Krishna consciousness movement is to bring all living entities back to their original consciousness. All living entities within the material world are to varying degrees afflicted with a type of madness. This Krishna conscious movement aims at curing man of his material desire and re-establishing his original consciousness. In a Bengali poem, a great Vaishnava poet has written, "When a man is haunted by ghosts, he can only speak nonsense." Similarly, anyone who is under the influence of material nature should be considered haunted, and whatever he speaks should be considered nonsense. One may be considered a great philosopher or a great scientist, but if he is haunted by ghost of Maya illusion, whatever he theorizes and whatever he speaks is more or less nonsensical. Today, we are given the example of a psychiatrist who, when requested to examine a murderer, proclaimed that since all the patients with whom he had come in contact were more or less crazy, the court could excuse the murder on these grounds if so desired. The point is that the material world is very difficult to find a sane living entity. The prevailing atmosphere of insanity in this world is all caused by by the infection of material consciousness. Should I continue?
Continue.
The purpose of this Hare Krishna movement is to bring back man to his original consciousness, which is Krishna consciousness, clear consciousness. When water falls from the clouds, it is uncontaminated like distilled water, but as soon as it touches the ground, it becomes muddy and discolored. Similarly, we are originally pure spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. And therefore, our original constitutional position is as pure as God's. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Maimai Vamsa Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, Manasastani Indriyani, Prakritistani Karshati. The living entity in this conditional world are my fragmental parts and are eternal. But due to conditional life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. Bhagavad Gita 5:15.7.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. So nicely explaining, Srila Prabhupada. See, materialistic people are crazy in sense gratification, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, fullest possible. That's where mad. That's where they are in illusion, right? So, and theories, he talks about the theories, right? He comes up with different theories. Now we see, one may be considered a great philosopher or great scientist, but if he is haunted by the ghost of Maya illusion, whatever he theorizes and whatever he speaks is more or less nonsensical. So basically, whatever the knowledge come from, these conditioned beings are not perfect because they are having 4 defects. Because imperfect senses, with the imperfect senses, they commit mistakes. By mistaking, they become illusion, and we have cheating propensity. So with these 4 defects, nothing, whatever come from human beings, the knowledge is imperfect, not perfect knowledge. That's where decades after decades, centuries after centuries, why Veda knowledge is permanent, Vedic knowledge is perfect knowledge, because it's not created by human beings. It's directly from Krishna himself. That's the thing. So we have to understand from Vedic literature all the concepts of, what exactly the material world. Bhagavad Gita talks about five things, right? What is the 5 topics? Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma, right? So everything we can understand with Shastra Chakshu, to understand from Krishna himself with his Vedas. The purpose of this Hare Krishna movement is to bring back to his original consciousness, which is Krishna consciousness, clear consciousness. Example is water falling from cloud on the mud, it becomes dirty. The water is very pure before it falls down on the earth, and it becomes muddy. Likewise, our spirit soul always pure. When it touches with material qualities, when it is connected with the material world, contaminated. The original consciousness lost. Covering with the different bodies. Right? So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mamai Vamsh Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manasastani Indriyani Prakristani Karshade. Living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. They are eternal. But due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include the mind. What are the 6 senses? What are the 6 senses we have? Which includes the mind. With the senses, with those senses, we acquire knowledge. Can anybody say what are the 6 senses?
Seeing, hearing, tasting, mind.
Yeah, seeing through eyes, hearing through ears, speaking through tongue, smelling through nose,
Touch.
and experience sense of touch. Experience sense of touch through the skin.
Mind.
Mind includes the mind. Total 6 senses. Yeah, conditioned life is struggling within these 6 senses. What is the conditioned life? Struggling because we place our seeing, our hearing, our speaking, our touching. These are all on the material platform. That's where we are conditioned. Purification. What is the purification? The same thing. The 6 senses replace with Krishna. When we replace with Krishna, all the 6 senses can be purified. That's the thing. So that's what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. So let us read from this paragraph. Samyukta Mata, please read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Here, Mata, yes, go ahead.
Thus, all living entities are part and parcel of Krishna. By Krishna, it should always be remembered that we are speaking of God, Krishna, denoting the all-attractive Supreme Personality of Godhead. As a fragment of gold is qualitatively the same as a gold reservoir, so the minute particles of Krishna's body are therefore qualitatively as good as Krishna. The chemical composition of God's body and the eternal spiritual body of the living entity is the same spiritual. Thus, originally, in our uncontaminated condition, we possessed a form as good as God's. But just as rain falls to the ground, so we come in contact with this material world, which is manipulated by the external material energy of Krishna. When we speak of external energy or material nature, the question may be raised: whose energy, whose nature? Material energy or nature is not active independently. Such a concept is foolish. In Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that material nature does not work independently. When a foolish man sees a machine, he may think that it is working automatically, but actually it is not. There is a driver, someone in control. Although we sometimes cannot see the controller behind the machine due to our defective vision, there are many electronic mechanisms which work very wonderfully, but behind these intricate systems, there is a scientist who pushes the button. This is very simple to understand. Since a machine is matter, it cannot work on its own accord, but must work under spiritual direction. A tape recorder works, but it works according to the plans and under the direction of a living entity, a human being. The machine is complete, but unless it is manipulated by a spirit soul, it cannot work. Similarly, we should understand that this cosmic manifestation, which we call nature, is a great machine, and that behind this machine there is God Krishna. This is also affirmed in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, shall I read, Prabhuji?
Please, Maya, nice verse. Maya Dyakshena Prakriti. Go ahead.
Ayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all the moving and unmoving beings, and by its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Bhagavad Gita 9.10.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. So basically, Prabhupada has given two examples. What is that? One is, if you see here,
Driver, Prabhuji.
Driver, and what is the other one? Machine. Unless machine, before that, there is one example given. See, we have an example of car, right? Car is a product. Unless a person runs, unless a person starts car, it won't move, right? On its own, it won't move. That means a person means nothing but a spirit soul. Unless a spirit soul is not there, your car won't move. Similarly, this material world also, this material world, under his direction, under whose direction it is running? Under Krishna's direction. He is the president. He is the supreme president of his material creation. Maya adhyakshena prakriti. Suyate sacharacharam. Chara achara. Chara means moving. Achara means non-moving beings. Hetunanena kaunteya jagad vivarpartate. Annihilated again and again. And I am the supreme president. Under my direction, everything is running. Simple to understand. From Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 10th verse. Right? So we have to simple to understand, like, unless a spirit soul is not there, unless a supreme personality of God is not there, this material world won't move. Think about this, in the clear sky, in the night sky, how many stars there are, different planetary systems moving in the sky, in the dark sky. Who is doing behind the scenes? Supreme personality of God is created, and he is maintained, and he is running behind the scenes. So that's what we have to understand. Unless Krishna it is his direction, he is maintaining, he is running entire material creation. That's why it's called Maya Adhyakshena, under my direction. Suyate Sujarachanam. Yes. So let us continue. Yes, Sapan Prabhuji, can you please read from this?
Hare Krishna. There are two kinds of entities, the moving, such as the human beings, animals, and insects, and non-moving, such as trees and mountains. Krishna says that material nature, which controls both kinds of entities, is acting under his direction. Thus, being everything, there is a supreme controller. Modern civilization does not understand this due to lack of knowledge. It is the purpose of this society for Krishna consciousness, therefore, to enlighten all people who have been maddened by the influence of the three modes of material nature. In other words, our aim is to awaken mankind to its normal condition. There are many universities, especially in the United States, and many departments of knowledge, but they are not discussing these points. Where is the department for this knowledge that we find given by Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita? When I spoke before students and some faculty members at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the first question raised was, where is the technological department which is investigating the difference between a dead man and a living man? When a man dies, something is lost. Where is the technology to replace it? Why don't scientists try to resolve this problem? Because this is a very difficult subject matter. They set it aside and busily engage in the technology of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. However, Vedic literatures inform us that this is animal technology. Animals are also trying their best to eat well, to have an enjoyable sex life, to sleep peacefully, and to defend themselves. What then is the difference between man's knowledge and animal's knowledge? The fact is that man's knowledge should be developed to explore the difference between a living man and a dead man, a living body and a dead body. The spiritual knowledge was imparted by Krishna to Arjuna in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Being a friend of Krishna, Arjuna was a very intelligent man, but his knowledge, as all men's, was limited. Krishna spoke, however, of subject matters which were beyond Arjuna's finite knowledge. These subjects are called adhokshaja, because our direct perception by which we acquire material knowledge fails to approach them. For example, we have many powerful microscopes to see what we cannot see with our limited vision, but there is no microscope that can show us the soul within the body. Nevertheless, the soul is there. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. This is the thing. So what is saying? Animal technology. What is animal technology and what is a human technology? Busily engage in the technology of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Animals also doing so nicely. So what is the difference? Difference is to be, the fact is that man's knowledge should be developed to explore the difference between a living man and a dead man. In other words, understand about the soul concept. A living body and a dead body. That spiritual knowledge was imparted by Krishna to Arjuna in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Being a friend of Krishna, Arjuna was a very intelligent man, but his knowledge, as all men's, was limited. But his knowledge, all men's, was limited. Krishna spoke, however, of subject matter which were beyond Arjuna's finite knowledge. The subjects are adokshaja. Adokshaja means beyond this. Who is Krishna's another name? Adokshaja. Aksha means Adho Akshaja.
Infinite knowledge, Prabhuji.
Yes, Adho Akshaja. And that means which we cannot. Aksha means see. Adhokshaja means Krishna knows everything and Krishna can see beyond because he is creator. Adhokshaja. Because our direct perception by which we acquire material knowledge fails to approach them. Our senses are limited. That's where we cannot understand proper knowledge. We cannot see whatever comes from a human being, that knowledge is imperfect. Because that we have our limited senses. So Krishna can see beyond the things. Adokshaja. It is. Because our direct perception by which we acquire material knowledge fails to approach them. And we cannot see inconceivable potency. We repeatedly hear this word, right? Inconceivable potency. So what is that inconceivable potency? Conceive means which we can experience, which we can see, or which we can feel. Perceivable thing. Inconceivable means it beyond our capacity, beyond our thinking capacity, beyond our seeing capacity, right? So that's where called is adokshita. We cannot say which we acquire material knowledge fails to approach them with our limited senses, because our direct perception by which we acquire material knowledge fails to approach them. For example, we have many powerful. Best example is Prabhupada quoted that microscope example. Microscope is there, right? So to see minute things. But what about, where is the microscope that can see soul within the body? So never ever. There is no advancement. I won't be able to get that. Now people are talking about technology advancement. So what is the technology advancement? Of course, some up to some level. That's it. They cannot go beyond that, because these are all inconceivable potency of Supreme Lord. Inconceivable, which we cannot experience or see with our limited senses. Yes. So let us continue. Yes. Thank you, Sunil Prabhuji, for joining. Would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. Bhagavad Gita informs us that in this body there is a proprietor. I am the proprietor, and others are the proprietors of their bodies. I say my hand, but not I hand. Since it is my hand, I am different from the hand, being its owner. Similarly, we speak of my eye, my leg, my this, my that. In the midst of all of these objects which belong to me, where am I? The search for the answer to this question is the process of meditation. In real meditation, we ask, where am I? What am I? We cannot find the answers to these questions by any material effort. And because of this, all the universities are setting these questions aside. They say it is too difficult a subject, or they brush it aside. It is irrelevant. Thus, engineers direct their attention to creating and attempting to perfect the horseless carriage and wingless bird. Formerly, horses were drawing carriages and there was no air pollution, but now there are cars and rockets, and the scientists are very proud. We have invented horseless carriages and wingless birds, they boast. Although they invent imitation wings for the airplane or rocket, they cannot invent a soulless body. When they are able to actually do this, they will deserve credit, but such an attempt would necessarily be frustrating. For we know that there is no machine that can work without a spirit, soul behind it. Even the most complicated computers need trained men to handle them. Similarly, we should know that this great machine, which is known as the cosmic manifestation, is manipulated by a supreme spirit. That is Krishna. Scientists are searching for the ultimate cause or the ultimate controller of this material universe and are postulating different theories and proposals, but the real means for knowledge is very easy and perfect. We need only hear from the perfect person, Krishna. By accepting the knowledge imparted in Bhagavad Gita, anyone can immediately know that this great cosmic machine of which the earth is a part is working so wonderfully because there is a driver behind it, Krishna.
Nice. Thank you, Prabhuji. Pretty straightforward. So this is the important thing we have to understand. We have invented horseless carriages and wingless birds. Although they invent imitation wings for the airplane or rocket, they cannot invent a soulless body. So whatever, even though right now AI is developing, AI is so nicely advancing in technology, artificial intelligence, it is working some, the robots, etc. All are some commands written by human being, right? And still, even though AI is there, it's still imperfect only. Somewhat, maybe it is going through some functions, but it's not perfect. Unless, again, all these instructions come from whom? A person, a scientist, is a human being with his intelligence. And that intelligence given by Krishna himself only. Krishna himself says, whatever the intelligence, I am the intelligence. I have given the intelligence to the living beings. So that's where we have to understand whatever scientific advancement we see in this material world, it is going to fulfill some issues. It's not going to solve the ultimate problem. That is a period. That's it. There is no, because with our limited senses, nothing can come as a perfect things. So here, unless a person see big airplanes, rockets, but person needs to be there. The person means the spirit soul needs to be there. The person having spirit soul need to push button to run the machine. Of course, robots are there, but robots also commands. By commands, it's running. That's the thing. So we have to understand. But this great machine called cosmic manifestation is manipulated by Supreme Spirit. Under his manipulation. Manipulation means 24 elements. We all know, right? What are the 24 elements? How the material world creation is taking place with 24 elements. Somebody put message. Okay. I need to into office. Okay, Prabhu. Sure, Prabhu. Sunil Prabhu. Carry on. There are 24 elements. 24 elements. Thus the entire material world is created. What are the 24 elements? We can understand. See. Bhumi Rapo Nalo Vayu Kamano Buddhi Revacha. What are there? 8 elements already there. 5 plus 3. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. 5 plus 3, 8. We can count. Then knowledge acquiring senses, 5. And then working senses, another 5. 5 plus 5, 10. And those 5 elements, 15. And 3 subtle elements, 18. Another 6. Another 6. What are the another 6? 5. Another sense of objects, right? Smell, taste, touch. Those are the things. So how many? Only one is left. That is material modes. All these 3 modes comes in one element. Mode of ignorance, mode of passion, and mode of goodness comes as a total 24 elements. And mind also there. Mind includes mind. So beyond this, soul is there and super soul is there. Actually, 24 elements, this material world is created. Different metal planets there, but all these comes from these elements only. 24 elements. So this is entirely is manipulation. Manipulation of these different elements only. Who is doing this? This cosmic manifestation and manipulation by Krishna himself. Cosmic manifestation means material world creation, material creation. So that is Krishna. Scientists are searching for the ultimate cause, for the ultimate control of this material universe, and are postulating different theories and proposals. But real means of knowledge is very easy and perfect. We need only hear from the perfect person, Krishna. Who is the perfect person? Krishna. He is Adokshaja, he is Achyuta, infallible. And there are many names with A. Achyuta, Adokshaja, Ananta, unlimited. By accepting the knowledge imparted in the Bhagavad Gita, anyone can immediately know that the great cosmic machine of which the earth is a part. Great cosmic machine, earth is a part. Okay, of which the earth is a part, is working so wonderfully because there is a driver behind it, Krishna. Mayadhyakshena prakrute suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagadvi parivartate. We have to understand from 9th chapter, Krishna himself establishes himself as a supreme person, so and a supreme, president. So now let us see from these paragraphs. Okay. Yes. Sirisha Mata, I am seeing Raja Prabhu. I don't know who is there. Hare Krishna, Raja Prabhu or Sirisha Mata, would you like to read?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Please read from this paragraph.
Yeah, okay. Our process of knowledge is very easy. Krishna's instruction, Krishna's instruction, Bhagavad Gita is the principal book of knowledge given by the Adi Purusha himself, the supreme primeval person, the supreme personality of Godhead. He is indeed the perfect person. It may be argued that although we have accepted him as a perfect person, there are many others who do not. But one should not think that this acceptance is whimsical. He is accepted as the perfect person on the evidence of many authorities. We do not accept Krishna as perfect simply on the basis of our whims or sentiment. Krishna is accepted as a god by many Vedic authorities like Vyasadeva, the author of all Vedic literatures. The three storehouse of knowledge is contained in the Vedas and their author. Vyasadeva accepts Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. And Vyasadeva's spiritual master, Narada, also accepted Krishna as such. Narada's spiritual master, Brahma, accepted Krishna not only as the supreme, but the supreme controller as well. Ishwaraha Parama Krishna. The supreme controller is Krishna. There is.
Yes, go ahead, Prabhu.
Can I stop, Prabhuji?
Yeah. Please continue.
There is no one in the creation who can claim that he is not controlled. Everyone, regardless of how important or powerful as a controller or is head. Krishna, however, has no controller, therefore he is God. He is the controller of everyone, but there is no one superior to him, no one to control him, nor is there anyone equal to him. No one shares his platform of absolute control. This may sound very strange, but there are many so-called gods nowadays. Indeed, gods have become very cheap, being especially imported from India. People in other countries are fortunate that gods are not manufactured there. But in India, gods are manufactured practically every day. We often hear that God is coming to Los Angeles or where other people are gathering to receive him, etc. But Krishna is not that type of God. Not that type of God manufactured by mystic factory. No, he was not made God, but he is God. Hare Krishna.
What we have to understand from these paragraphs? So Krishna is not a cheap. Krishna is beyond. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. How can we understand? Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha. Brahma Samhita talks about that. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. The supreme controller is Krishna, the cause of all causes. And is a personality, is a supreme personality of Godhead. What are the other personalities accepted? Is Krishna is the only supreme personality of Godhead. From him everything, all the different avatars, different incarnation, different material worlds, everything come from him. All these Vedic, all these Vaishnava Parampara systems, all the great personalities like Brahma, Shiva, Narada, all are accepted. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And all these, we have 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas, right? Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradayam, Sri Ramanujacharya Sampradayam, and then what else? The other 2, Kumara Sampradayam and Rudra Sampradayam. So all these 4 Sampradayas establishes Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. How can we understand? In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. In the Bhagavatam, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And we have a specific verse from Bhagavatam. Ete chamsa kala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. That's it. Krishna is the supreme person. We got the point now. We got to know from the Vedic literature that Krishna is the only supreme personality of Godhead. That's why Prabhupada writing every time supreme personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, back home, back to Godhead. Why? There is a proper understanding from Vedic literature, right? Krishna is the creator, Krishna is the maintainer, and Krishna is the enjoyer for all the material worlds and spiritual worlds also, for his own pleasure. He is the supreme personality of Godhead. Supreme personality of Godhead. So this is what we have to understand. Krishna is not a cheap. Krishna is a perfect person, and is the 2 things. Asamaurdhva. Asamaurdhva. There is another name of Krishna, Asamaurdhva. What is the meaning of Asamaurdhva? Asamaurdhva means nobody is equal, nobody is greater than Krishna. Asama. Nobody is equal. Urdhva. Nobody is greater than Krishna. That's his personality. Nobody is equal, Nobody is greater. He, that's it. He is the only Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada quoted, like, they claim themselves as a god and given some mantra, cheaply understanding. And people are so attracted that, with their mystic powers, with their, concocted different mantras, people are attracted. But this is a foolish thing. Prabhupada writes many times, it's a foolish, it's not correct. So let us read. Sirisha Mata, you want to read? Are you in a position to read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Please read. Yeah. We should know.
Yes, Prabhuji. We should know then, on the basis of authority, that behind this genetic material nature, the cosmic manifestation, there is God Krishna, and that he is accepted by all Vedic authorities. Acceptance of authority is not new for us. Everyone accepts authority in some form or another. For education, we go to a teacher or to a school, or simply learn from our father and mother. They are all authorities, and our nature is to learn from them. In our childhood, we asked, Father, what is this? And Father would say, this is a pen. These are spectacles, or this is a table. In this way, from the very beginnings of life, a child learns from his father and mother. He learns the names of things and the basic relations of one thing to another by questioning his parents. A good father and mother never cheat when their son inquires from them. They give exact and correct information. Similarly, if we get spiritual information from an authority, and if the authority is not a cheater, then our knowledge is perfect. If we attempt to reach conclusions by dint of our own speculative powers, however, we are subject to fall into error. The process of education, induction by which reasoning from particular facts or individual cases one can arrive at a general conclusion, is never a perfect process, because we are limited and our experience is limited. It will always remain imperfect.
Yeah, because of our limited senses, Mother. Yes. Thank you very much. So here we have to understand one thing. Father example, son example, mother example is given. When we approach, see, our father, mother is correct when something goes wrong, right? Similarly, we have, there is authority. We get knowledge, some of the knowledge from our parents. Similarly, we have an authority specified. Krishna himself specified this. What is the authority? Can anybody say what is the authority? We have to receive the perfect knowledge. What is authority? So for education, we go to teachers, school, simply learn from our father or mother. They are all authorities to get some knowledge, right? And our nature is to learn from them. So here, if we look at our spiritual life, and what is the authority? Can anybody say what is the authority? And what is the authority? Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita. And how do we get that authorized knowledge? From where? How to receive? How to approach?
Parampara, bona fide spiritual master.
Evam parampara praptam. Parampara only, yes. Disciplic succession. Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita. Evam, that is authority. Because the knowledge received from the authority is perfect. The knowledge which we receive from the authority, that means parampara system, is perfect. Right now we have so much Googling, everything is Googling. So many articles will come, and sometimes our mind drags into different things, indulging different thoughts. That's not correct. We just have to, see, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. There are 3 pramanas. Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Guru means kone? Who is that Guru? Guru in a disciplic succession. Sadhu, who are the sadhu? Sadhu is also following that particular spiritual master. And Shastra. And what Shastra is saying? What the Vedic literature is saying? What is Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, other Puranas? What is saying? So we have to understand, and we have to understand the spiritual knowledge from an authority. That means from disciplic succession. And we are nicely situated right now. We are following Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is a perfect example of a authority. He is authorized personality representing Guru Parampara. And when we receive knowledge from him, this knowledge is perfect. Whatever he has written, all the books, is nothing but Vedas, concepts from Vedas. And he has written so nicely, given an examples, analogies to understand the spiritual concepts. So we need an authority, just like we learn from teachers, we learn from our parents. Like that, our eternal Father is Supreme Lord. He is giving perfect knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita, in Bhagavatam. Right. Thinking. Swapna Mata, you join. Can you please read from this paragraph? Again, say we were discussing Evam Parampara Praptam. Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji, Swapna Mataji. Yeah, I think you are speaking on. Yeah, you can continue.
If we receive information from the perfect source, Krishna, and if we repeat that information, then what we are speaking can also be accepted as perfect and authoritative. The process of parampara or disciplic succession is this very process of hearing from Krishna or from authorities who have accepted Krishna and repeating exactly what they have said. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna recommends this process of knowledge. Evam parampara praptam imam rajasyo vido. Spiritual knowledge through Krishna. This spiritual science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. Formerly, knowledge was passed down by great saintly kings who were the authorities. In previous ages, however, these kings were rishis, great learned scholars and devotees. And because they were not ordinary men, the government which they headed worked very nicely. There are many instances in Vedic civilization of kings who attained perfection as devotees of the Lord. For example, Dhruva Maharaj went to the forest to search out God, and by practice of severe penance and austerity found God within 6 months. Although he was only a 5-year-old prince with a great delicate body, he was successful because he followed the directions of his spiritual master Narada. The first month Dhruva Maharaj was in the forest, he simply ate some fruits and vegetables once every 3 days and drank a little water every 6 days. He finally restricted his inhalation of air and stood for 6 months on one leg only. After he executed these severe austerities for half a year, God became manifest before him, eye to eye. It is not necessary for us to participate in such severe austerities, but simply by following in the footsteps of Vedic authorities, we also can see God eye to eye. This vision of God is the perfection of life. The Krishna consciousness process is based on the austerity, but it is not very difficult. There are restrictions governing eating and sex life. Only prasadam, first food first ordered to Krishna is taken, and sex is restricted to marriage life. And there are other regulations which facilitate and foster spiritual realization. It is not possible in these days to imitate Dhruva Maharaj by following certain basic Vedic principles. We can make advancement in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness, as we advance we become perfect in knowledge. Shall I continue, Prabhuji?
Yeah, complete this paragraph.
Yeah. What is the use of becoming a scientist or a philosopher if we cannot say what our next life will be? A realized student of Krishna consciousness can very easily say what is next life is, what God is, what the living entity is, and what his relationship with God is. His knowledge is perfect because it is coming from perfect books of knowledge, such as Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yes. Many times. It's a pretty simple and straightforward and self-explanatory understanding. These paragraphs. Yeah, just now before that we have discussed evam parampara praptam. This authority needs to be, the spiritual knowledge needs to be received from an authority. That authority established on the basis of the scriptures and on the basis of the supreme personality of Godhead. Who is the supreme person? Actually, why all these four Vaishnava Sampradayas is established? Because to understand the supreme personality of Godhead and our purpose, what is the purpose of our existence? Yeah, this is knowledge we have to receive through disciplic succession, and the various kings, rishis followed in that way, and they delivered from this, clutches of Maya and illusory energy, and they come back to God by applying that knowledge in their lives, by practicing spiritual life and remembering Supreme Lord, come back to God. So that is what it is. So there are many instances in Vedic civilization of kings who attained perfection as devotees of God. So Srila Prabhupada quoted an example of Dhruva Maharaja. So, but he attained that after severe penances, right? He did a lot of tapasya. Dhruva Maharaja went to the forest to search out God, and by practice of severe penance and austerity, found God within 6 months. He was only 5-year-old boy, right? Very delicate body. He was successful. For the first month he was in the forest. He simply ate some fruits and vegetables, and once every 3 days drank a little water. Once every 3 days he took that fruits and vegetables and drank a little water every 6 days, and finally restricted his inhalation of air. So in this right now we are in the Kali Yuga time frame. It's not possible to do all these austerities, and it's not recommended also. Here in this Kali Yuga, it is recommended only Sankirtana Yajna and Japa. Japa is 1-to-1, personal. Yajnanam Japa Yajñosmi, Krishna himself says. But there is a Kali Kalena Namarupa Krishna Avatara. There is one more verse. Krishna appeared in the holy name in this age of Kali. There is another verse. It comes.
Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Nitya Abhinnatvam Nama.
There is no difference between Krishna and his holy name. It comes with Kali. Last verse, I think, last verse of Bhagavatam. Sankirtana, no, that's not correct. The other one.
Krishna Varnant Vishakash.
That is appearance of Lord Mahaprabhu, Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Not that one. There is one more verse. It talks about Kali Yuga, and holy name is the only benediction. Kali Kalina Namarupa Krishna Avatara, and then Krishna Abhinnatto Namanamina Nama Chintamani Yasya. Yeah. Sarva Pava Pranasya. That is there, but there is one more verse. Anyway. So all this literature, especially Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, these are the books of perfect knowledge. Books of perfect knowledge. These are scriptures. Why it's called scripture? Because it is time-tested knowledge. Testing of times, various times, centuries or millions of years ago, this knowledge there. That means it's a timeless wisdom. There is no time on this Vedic literature. Yes, Kali Kalina Namarupa Krishna. Yes, that's nothing. I'll find out. So that's the thing. So, how we can understand through this literature, the perfect knowledge, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. Let us continue, okay? Another 20 minutes we have, so let us continue some more paragraphs. Again, one more round. Venela Mata, we start.
This then is the process of Krishna consciousness. It is very easy and anyone can adopt it and make his life perfect. If someone says, I am not educated at all and I cannot read books, he is still not disqualified. He can still perfect his life by simply chanting the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna has given us a tongue and 2 ears, and we may be surprised to know that Krishna is realized through ears and tongue, not through eyes. By hearing this message, we learn to control the other senses, control the tongue, and after tongue is controlled, other senses follow. Of all senses, the tongue is the most voracious and difficult to control, but it can be controlled by simply chanting Hare Krishna and taking Krishna Prasadam food offered to Krishna. We have
a wonderful verse from Nectar of Devotion. Would you like to recite, Mataji? So nice. But it can be controlled simply. Tongue is the most dangerous thing. The tongue, of all the senses, the tongue is the most voracious and difficult to control. But it can be controlled by simply chanting Hare Krishna and tasting Krishna Prasadam, food offered to Krishna. Ata Sri Krishna Namadi Abhaved Grahyam Indriyai Sevon Mukehu Jihwado Swayam Yeva Spuratyada. Tongue. How to use the tongue? So nicely explained by Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Devotion. Ata Sri Krishna Namadi Abhaved Grahyam Indriyai Sevon Mukehu Jihwado Swayam Yeva Spuratyada. We have to use tongue, glorifying Supreme Lord, and taste remnants of Supreme Lord only, the Prasadam. Glories. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, continue, Madhavi. You can continue.
We cannot understand Krishna by essential perception or by speculation. It is not possible.
Suddenly scroll down. Yes.
It is not possible for Krishna. It is not possible. For Krishna is so great that he is beyond our sensual range. But he can be understood by surrender. Krishna therefore recommends this process. Sarvadharman parityatya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tam sarva papebhyo moksha ishyami vasachaha. Give up all varieties of religiousness and thus surrender unto me. And in return I shall protect you from all sinful reactions. Therefore you have nothing to fear. Bhagavad Gita 18.66.
This is a conclusive instruction by Supreme Lord Krishna. Conclusive instruction. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha ishyami vasachaha. Just surrender unto me, I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Give up all varieties of religiousness. Just surrender. I'll take care of you. That's what Krishna is promising. Surrendering is a very, very important thing. Surrender. We have to surrender to Krishna's teachings. We have to surrender to Krishna's personality. We have to surrender to take shelter at the lotus feet of his representative, Guru, spiritual master. Please go ahead, Samyukta Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, Smriti want to read 2 lines, Prabhuji. Only 2 lines.
Right.
Unfortunately, our disease is that we are rebellious. We automatically resist authority, yet also around we say that we don't want authority. Nature is so strong that it forces authority upon us. We are
We are forced to accept the authority of nature. What can be more pathetic than a man who claims to answer to no authority, but who follows his senses blindly, wherever they lead him? Our false claim to independence is simply foolishness. We are all under authority, yet we say that we don't want authority. This is called Maya, illusion. We do, however, have a certain independence. We can choose to be under the authority of our senses or the authority of Krishna. The best and ultimate authority is Krishna, for he is our eternal well-wisher and he always speaks for our benefit. Since we have to accept some authority, why not accept his? Simply by hearing of his glories from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and by chanting his names Hare Krishna, we can simply perfect our lives.
Yeah, the chapter అయిపోయింది మాతాజీ. Thank you very much
Yes,
for reading.
thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Smriti. Very nice reading. Okay, yes. So again, Prabhupada writes about the authority. Either we can choose to be under the authority of our senses. That means sense gratification, using our senses, and not worry about the highest aim of life or goal of life, or authority of Krishna, or instructions of Krishna. In other way, the best ultimate authority is Krishna, for he is our eternal well-wisher. Suhridam sarvabhutanam. Suhridam sarvabhutanam. I am friend of all living beings. Right? He's well-wisher. He is our eternal well-wisher actually. And he always speaks for our benefit. Since we have to accept some authority, why not accept his? Why not accept his? Simply by hearing of his glories from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So first, it starts with hearing only, right? Shravanam. What is the beautiful verse I am remembering from Bhagavatam? Shrunvatam swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtanaha hrudayanteohi abhadrani vidunoti sursutam. Bhagavatam says, Shrunvatam swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hrudayanteohi abhadrani vidunoti sursutam. What is the meaning of that verse? So beautiful actually, that verse. Let me see. I forgot the translation. Let me check quickly. Yeah, Shrunatam Swakata Krishna, Punyashravana Kirtana, Hrudayanto Ostohi Abhadrani, Vidunoti Sursudam. Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma, Super Soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee. Benefactor means friend, is a well-wisher. So nicely, Bhagavatam, this is a nectar actually. If you understand with connected verses, so nectar actually, Suddenly I remember this verse. It's well-wisher means who is the well-wisher? Krishna is the well-wisher. He is the ultimate benefactor. Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma, seated in everyone's heart as a super soul, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee. What happens when we understand, Krishna, when we understand super soul is there, what happens? A truthful devotee, what happens to truthful devotee? Cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, and who has developed the urge to hear his messages. Hear his messages. Whose messages? Krishna's messages, Krishna's instructions, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So nice verse actually. It's in Bhagavatam 1st canto, 2nd chapter, 17th verse. Shrunvatam swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hrudayantyosyohi abhadrani vidunoti surutsutam. So good. So now let us see here. So that's where he is our eternal ever well-wisher. Prabhupada writes also in his lovingly writes when he sent letters to his disciples, you were ever well-wisher. Guru's mood is like, why we keep a Guru? Not for fashion or anything like that. Guru is forever. He is also same mood. He is representative of Supreme Lord. So he also benefactor. He also delivers with the Supreme Lord, with the spiritual master's instructions. The instructions are the blessings actually. If we can understand that way, if we follow, That's it. There is a guaranteed successful spiritual life. Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and chanting his glories, his names, Hare Krishna, we can swiftly perfect our lives. So this is the chapter, right? What is this chapter? Spiritual knowledge through Krishna. Another way we say that Shastra Chakshuhu. How can we get this knowledge? How can we Supreme Lord? Some asks, have you seen Krishna? We can say that, yes, every day I'm seeing Krishna by reading his scriptures. Shastra Chakshuhu. So spiritual knowledge through Krishna. Spiritual knowledge through Krishna himself, through his literature, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so let us go through another. We have another 10 minutes. Let us see how can we complete. We can do that. We can read. Sapan Prabhuji, can you read a couple of paragraphs? Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Sapan Prabhu is still there?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Chapter 2, Getting Out of the Material Mire. Our subject matter is most sublime, the glorification of the holy name of God. The subject was discussed by Maharaj Parikshit and Sukadeva Goswami, who noted that a Brahmana who was very fallen and addicted to all kinds of sinful activities was saved simply by chanting the holy names of Krishna. This is found in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, an epic work by Vyasadeva describing the pastimes of Lord Krishna and elaborating on the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. In the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the universal planetary systems are very fully explained. Within the universe, there are lower, middle, and higher planetary systems. Actually, not only the Bhagavatam, but all religious scriptures contain these descriptions of hellish or lower planetary systems and heavenly or higher systems. Srimad Bhagavatam gives evidence of where these planets are and indicates how far they are from this planet. Just as astronomers have calculated how far the moon and other heavenly bodies are from Earth, similarly, Bhagavatam contains descriptions of the various planets.
Go ahead, bro. Please read.
Even on this planet, we experience different climatic conditions. In temperate countries such as the United States, the climate is different from that of a tropical country like India. Just as there are environmental differences on this planet, there are other planets which have far different atmospheres and environments. After hearing a description of such planets from Sukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj said, Aduneha Mahabhaga Yathaiva Narkanara Nano Grayantanan Neya Tanme Vyakyayatum Arhasi. Sir, I have heard from you about the hellish planets. Men who are very sinful are sent to those planets. Bhagavad Gita 6.1.6. Parikshit Maharaj was a Vaishnava devotee, and a Vaishnava always feels compassion for others' distress. For instance, when Lord Jesus Christ appeared, he was greatly aggrieved by the miserable conditions of the people. Regardless of the country or sect to which they belong, all Vaishnavas or devotees, any people who are God conscious or Krishna conscious, thus are compassionate. Therefore, to blaspheme a Vaishnava, a preacher of God's glories, is a great offense.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so this is what it is. Vaishnavas are paradukha dukhi, parasukha sukhi. There is a concept called paradukha dukhi. They feel that, it is happening to me. They feel like that. Devotees, paradukha dukhi. So we have to understand from Bhagavatam how Parikshit Maharaj quoted. Sir, I have heard from you about the hellish planets. There are lower planetary systems, Atala, Vitala, Talatala, Rasatala, Mahatala, Patala. All the sinful personalities sent to these hellish planets. Bhagavatam only says that there are 14 planetary systems. From Earth to lower planetary systems, Atala, Talatala, Rasatala, Mahatala, Patala. Those are the things. Different hellish conditions there. So this is the thing. Whoever sinful activities, sinners sent to that different planetary systems. So every planet here, this topic, getting out the material mire. So they are getting out of, how can we get out of this material? Well, Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. Krishna himself establishes the definition of this material. Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. Sufferings only. It appears like, enjoying, it appears like, some happiness, but that is a flickering on the material level, material plane, right? We won't always be happy every time. Sometimes, distress, sometimes morose, sometimes negative thoughts, sometimes positive. It is on and off. Nobody ever become eternally blissful in this material nature. Only in the spiritual nature, which connects to Krishna, we get the real happiness or real bliss. So here two concepts mentioned, right? Vaishnava's mood, compassionate for others, right? We have that vancha kalpataru bescha, krupa sindhu evacha, patitanam pavaneba vaishnavya namo namaha. What is the meaning of? Let us offer our humble obeisance to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are just like desire trees, who can fulfill all desires, who are compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Compassionate nature. So that is one of the quality, divine quality a devotee has to develop, compassionate nature. Right? We have to give respect to any small living entity, ant, right? Fly. That's the thing. The devotee's concept and Vaishnava's understanding of, this material nature and living beings. So respectful, and we give proper respect to material energy also, use it nicely for the Krishna service. That is the Vaishnavas. Everything utilized for the purpose of Krishna only. All the material nature, in the material nature, whatever come from our buildings, etc., our homes, all this, if you think about the elements come from Krishna, material elements. Who created? By Krishna. So think. So you have to understand. So again, Vancha Kalpataru best. Prabhupada writes here. Yeah. Sunil Prabhu, please read.
Yes, Prabhuji. Krishna never tolerates offenses committed at the lotus feet of a pure Vaishnava. A Vaishnava, however, is always ready to forgive such offenses. Kripam Buddhi. A Vaishnava is an ocean of mercy. Vancha Kalpataru, everyone has desires. But a Vaishnava can fulfill all desires. Kalpataru refers to a tree in the spiritual world which is called a wish fulfilling tree. In this material world, a particular type of fruit can only be gotten from a particular type of tree. But in Krishna Loka, as well as in all the other planets of the spiritual sky, all the trees are spiritual and will yield whatever one desires. That is described in the Brahma Samhita Chintamani Prakara Sadmasu Kalpa Vriksha. A pure Vaishnava is compared to such a wish-fulfilling tree, for he can bestow a matchless gift upon a sincere disciple Krishna consciousness.
You can read, Prabhu, one more paragraph.
A Vaishnava is addressed as Mahabhaga, which means fortunate. One who becomes a Vaishnava and is God conscious is understood to be greatly fortunate. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the chief exponent of Krishna consciousness in this age, has explained that the living entities in various planetary systems all over the universe are rotating in different species of life. A living entity can go wherever he likes, to heaven or to hell, simply by preparing himself for either place. There are many heavenly planets, many hellish planets, and many species of life. Padma Purana estimates the species of life to be 8.4 million, and the living entity is rotating or wandering through these species and creating bodies according to his mentality in his present life. As you sow, so shall you reap, is the law that governs here. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that out of these numberless living entities who are transmigrating in the material world, one may be fortunate enough to take to Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is being distributed freely everywhere, yet not everyone takes to it, especially in this age of Kali. Because of this, Srimad Bhagavatam characterizing people in the age of Kali as unfortunate. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that only those who are fortunate take to this Krishna consciousness and thus attain a pleasant and blissful life of knowledge.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So material, in this Bhagavatam says that Manda Sumanda Matayo, less intelligent, misfortunate, Manda Sumanda Matayo. So his process is easy. Krishna consciousness is being distributed freely everywhere, yet not everyone takes to it. How many people are practicing bhakti, especially in this age of Kali? Because of this, Srimad Bhagavatam characterizes people in the age of Kali as unfortunate. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that only those who are fortunate take to this Krishna consciousness and thus attain a pleasant and blissful life of knowledge. So this is a verdict of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What he is saying, very fortunate. We are all fortunate compared to the large percentage of population. We got the point. We are understanding the spiritual knowledge in a proper way. So we many times we have read this, 8,400,000 species of life, different bodies, different dresses we call, animal, insect, beast, different bodies. Jalaja Navalakshani, Stavara Lakshavimshati, like that. Aquatics, a human being in 8,400,000, 400,000 species, and countless number of living entities. Species, category of human being, human race is one species. Like that, Krishna has created these number of bodies and countless living entities in these species. So Krishna, we have to understand, see, a Vaishnava is addressed as a Mahabhaga. This one explained through that, that verse only. Srila Prabhupada explaining about that Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Vaishnava devotee is compassionate and is a wish-fulfilling tree. A pure Vaishnava is compared to a wish-fulfilling tree. For he can bestow a matchless gift upon a sincere disciple, Krishna consciousness. So nicely written, Srila Prabhupada. Ki Jai. A pure Vaishnava is compared to such a wish-fulfilling tree, for he can bestow a matchless gift upon a sincere disciple, Krishna consciousness. See, how are we become fortunate now? Because some pure Vaishnava prayed for us. We have to remember always. Some pure Vaishnava devotee prayed for us. Yeah, this soul is so nice. Let me pray in front of Krishna and maybe he become devotee of Krishna. He prayed to Krishna. So it's their mercy. See, how are we practicing devotional life? It's somebody prayed for us. It's not everybody practice Krishna consciousness. Somebody prayed for us, and with their mercy, we are practicing. So we have to remember that fact. And see, fortunate. A Vaishnava is addressed as a Mahabhaga, which means fortunate. One who becomes a Vaishnava and is God conscious is understood to be greatly fortunate. Very great. We have to feel we are fortunate beings. Fortunate soul. There is one book also, one Guru Maharaj has written in the ISKCON. Fortunate souls, something. One book is there. Yes. So now we'll read a couple more paragraphs and then we'll wrap up, okay, for today. Swapna Madhavi, can you please read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Madhavi, yes. Yeah, it is the duty.
Yeah, it is the duty of a Vaishnava to go from door to door to try to get unfortunate people to accept good fortune. A Vaishnava thinks, how can these people be delivered from their hellish life? That was also Maharaj Parikshit's inquiry. Sir, he said, you have described that because of one's sinful activities, he is put into a hellish condition of life or in a hellish planetary system. Now, what are the methods by which such a person can be saved? This is a very important question. When a Vaishnava comes, when God himself comes, or when God's sons or his very confidential devotees come, their only mission is to save sinful men who are suffering. They have knowledge of how to do this. When Prahlad Maharaj met Lord Narasimhadev, he said, Naivo Dvijay Para Duratyaya Vaitaramyas Tvad Virya Gayana Mahamrata Magnachitta Sachotato Vimukha Chetasa Indriyartha Maya Sukaya Baram Udvahato Vimudan. My dear Lord, Prahlad began, I am not very anxious for my own deliverance. At this point, we may contrast this attitude with that of the Mayavadi philosophers, who are very careful that their personal salvation is never interrupted. They often think, if I go to preach and associate with others, I may fall down and my realization will be finished. Therefore, They do not come forward to preach. Only the Vaishnavas come, even at the risk of fall down, but they do not fall down. A Vaishnava is even willing to go to hell to deliver conditioned souls. This is also Prahlad Maharaj's mission. He went on to say, I am not very anxious about living in this material world. I have no anxiety for myself because somehow or the other I have been trained to be Krishna conscious always. Because Prahlada was Krishna conscious. He was confident that in his next life he was going to Krishna. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that if one executes the regulated principles of Krishna consciousness carefully, it is certain that he will reach the supreme destination in his next life. Prahlad Maharaj continues, there is only one source of anxiety for me. I am anxious for those who are not Krishna conscious. For myself, I have no anxiety, but I'm thinking of them. And why aren't people Krishna consciousness? Maya Sukhaya Baram Udvahato Vimudhan. The rascals have created a Hamburg civilization for contemporary happiness. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. Very, very beautiful verse, actually. The mood of Prahlad Maharaj explained here. That's where it's called Paradukha Dukhi. Vaishnavas are Paradukha Dukhi. Even though if a devotee sent to a hellish planet, he is happy about it. He wanted to preach and glories of the Supreme Lord. So no naivod vijay paradhuratyaya vaitananyas tadvirya gayana mahamruta magna chitta sochetato vimukha chetasa indriyartha maya sukaya bharam udvahato vimudhan. See, so nice, right? How the mood of a great Vaishnava, Prahlad Maharaj. He was thinking about deliverance of other people, even though on the risk of his fall down. I am not very anxious for my own deliverance at this point. So that I may fall down and my realization will be finished. Right? They are therefore they do not. The Mayavadi philosophers like that. They worried about their own personal salvation. Where devotees, only the Vaishnavas come even at the risk of fall down, but they do not fall down because they do not fall down. Vaishnavas even willing to go hell to deliver conditions. So this is also Prahlad Maharaj's mission. This is so nice. We have to understand these lines. I am not very anxious about living in this material world. I have no anxiety for myself because why? What is that confidence he has, Prahlad Maharaj? I have no anxiety for myself because somehow or other I have trained to be Krishna consciousness. How many hardships he underwent, Prahlad Maharaj. Every time he always think about Krishna. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha drudhavrata namasyantasya mam bhakti nityayukta upasate. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion, exclusive devotion. Prahlad Maharaj is an example of that verse. Satatam kirtayantam, always, every situation. So there is no worry. If Krishna wants to send him in a hellish condition, there is a purpose. Krishna's plan to deliver some souls in hellish planetary systems also. Only Krishna knows. Why Krishna sent great souls to this material planet and different planetary systems? Krishna wanted to execute the purpose of glorifying him and come back. So devotees mood like that. They don't want to liberate. They don't want to go back to it also. They don't desire for it. They always, whatever situation, they are always in the Krishna consciousness. Think about Krishna, never forgets about Krishna. Always remember him. Yes. So this is the last paragraph. Let us read and we'll wrap up. Raju Prabhu and Shirisha Mata, you are still there? I think we all did.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, we paragraph. Let us conclude. Okay. Yes. Go
Okay,
ahead.
Prabhuji. Maya Sakya. Actually, this is a fact. We have succeeded in creating a humble civilization. Every year, so many cars are being manufactured, and for that purpose, so many roads have to be excavated, prepared, and repaired. This creates problems after problems, and therefore it is Maya Sakya, illusionary happiness. We are trying to manufacture some way to be happy, but we only succeed in creating other problems. The United States has the world's largest number of cars, but that
does not solve any problem. We have manufactured cars to help solve the problems of life, but we have often experience that this also creates other problems. Once we create cars, we must travel 30 or 40 miles just to meet our friends or go to a doctor. We can even go from New York to Boston in less than an hour by plane, but it takes even longer than that just to get to the airport. This situation is called Maya Sakya. Maya means false illusionary. We try to create a very comfortable situation, but we only succeed in creating another uncomfortable situation. This is the way of the material world. If we are not satisfied by the natural comforts offered by God and nature, and we want to create artificial comforts, then we have to create discomforts also. Most people, ignorant of this fact, think that they are creating a very comfortable situation, but in actuality, they end up traveling 50 miles to go to the office to earn a livelihood and 50 miles to come back.
Thank you, Mataji. Prabhupada writes, why these motor cars. See, these motor cars, in other way, pollution, so much pollution is creating in these cars. Of course, right now we are seeing electric vehicles, but something electric also back in the behind the scenes, some gases, some pollution is going to be created. We are Prabhupada writes, this book written in 1974, close to 60 years back, close to 50, right? 50 years back. 50 years back. He was thinking that time, motor cars revolution in US, it's the largest consumption of this, motor vehicles, etc. And so much pollution is creating in the environment. Of course, it's going to be creating for some of our comforts, so-called comforts, but it is creating a discomfort to weather and nature, etc. And if we have car, we have to travel to 30 miles, 50 miles. That's what it is saying, to come back. What is saying? But in fact, actually, they end up traveling 50 miles to go to the office to earn a livelihood and 50 miles to come back. But these are all called artificial comforts. If we are not satisfied by the natural comforts offered by God and nature, and we want to create artificial comforts, then we have to create discomfort also. So there is a negativity, there is a problem also there, even though taken any example, anything in the material world, if we feel that is a comfort, there is a discomfort also. So we have to understand. It's called, Prabhupada says, and understanding from the Prahlad Maharaj verse, Maya Sukhaya. We are getting happiness in the Maya provided elements, Maya provided facilities. Maya Sukhaya. Maya means false, illusory. We try to create a very comfortable situation, Sukhaya. See, all these material comforts, in another way, it gives discomfort also. Because because of the nature is created in the quality of flickering in nature. Flickering. Take in any example, anything. If we look into, introspect all these material objects, material senses, everything is on the flickering. There is no real happiness or real sense of, sense of being, a sense of happiness is not there. Because everything is in the material, temporary or permanent? Is everything in the material, whatever created, is a temporary or permanent?
Temporary.
When it is temporary itself is a discomfort, right? We wanted to possess so many things, and when we lost, we feel discomfort. We feel, we get distress. These things. So material world is like temporary material nature, but we are so much attached to. But devotee conception are there, and Vaishnavas understanding, using everything for Krishna's service. If we understand, Even though we are in the material world, we can create the Golok Vrindavan. See, Prabhupada writes in his purpose actually. We can make our home as a temple and perform all the necessary devotional activities every day and go to work, come back, and again engage Krishna service. So the material devotee feel everything, everything utilized for the pleasure of Supreme Lord. Devotee won't feel discomfort when it is used for the Krishna service. Only problem with materialistic thoughts and materialistic way of understanding. So we have to understand that way. That's the thing. So every advancement, every technological advancement having a negativity also there, discomfort also there, right? Internet is the best example is internet. How can we use is matters. So much, some terabytes or so much knowledge there, so much data. And internet, how we use, just like a sharp knife, it can be used in the kitchen for cutting vegetables, or it can be killed for somebody also. The same knife. How do we utilize internet? Also like that. Discomfort is creating so much discomfort and so much disturbances in the society because of the people, different materialist people using in different ways. Take any example. Discomfort is always there in the material world. In any technological advancement or anything, if we see, discomfort is there. Maya, that's where Prahlad Maharaj says, Maya Sukhaya. We are getting pleasure in the temporary items. It's called Maya Sukhaya. Real Sukhaya, no real happiness. Maya Sukhaya, material illusory energy. See the greatest, the illusory energy, Durga Devi Shakti is to what she is going to provide, what she is going to allure every time to get away from Krishna. Mama Maya Duratyaya. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mama Maya Duratyaya. Very difficult to cross over this material, my Maya, my illusory energy. But there is every chance to get out of that one. Mamcheo abhicharen. Daivi esha gunamai, Mama Maya Duratyaya. Daivi esha gunamai. Mama Maya Duratyaya. This material world created by three modes of material nature. It's called illusory energy, Maya. Mama Maya Duratyaya. Mam yevaye prapadyante mayatitam tarantite. Mam yevaye prapadyante. When we surrender to Supreme Lord, what happens? We can easily cross over this material world. We won't feel that discomforts because our consciousness, our thought process, our thinking, feeling, willing, everything will be replaced in Krishna's activities, with Krishna's activities. Then we won't get anything. We won't get any discomfort because we got that. See, Prahlad Maharaj says, right? Prahlad Maharaj says here only. Somehow I am anxious for those. So here, see, I am not very anxious about living in this material world. I have no anxiety for myself because somehow or other I have been trained to be Krishna conscious always. So when we surrender to Krishna, that's simple. Surrender is a lot of meanings, broader meaning there. When we surrender to Krishna, our mind, our intelligence, our false ego, our thinking, feeling, willing, surrender at the lotus feet of Supreme Lord, we just like become Prahlad Maharaj. We get the same consciousness as Prahlad Maharaj. We can live even material world, but we can always be Krishna conscious. So that's the thing. So nice teachings of Prahlad Maharaj actually in the Bhagavatam. Very wonderful verse Prabhupada quoted here. That's a mood of devotional self, the mood of a devotee. What is his mood? So that's the thing. Whatever material world, discomforts always there. Discomforts. That's the thing, right? So let us continue on Friday. Remaining. Let us continue with the next paragraph onwards. Okay. Thank you so much for your patience and reading every other week, every other day, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. This is going to help us see how do we always be in Krishna consciousness, right? Somehow or other we have to engage our senses in Krishna's service, right? Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. One of the activities is reading scriptures. right? It's reading scripture. This is scripture, small books, but it contains from all the Vedic literature, condensed form, condensed. Srila Prabhupada is given so much knowledge in these books. So let us continue reading on Friday from the next paragraph. Thank you so much for your attention and giving an opportunity to read along with you. It is for my self-purification also. I am also reading regularly with all of you. With your mercy, I am doing this. So please continue attending and let us connect on Friday. Okay, let us wrap up here. Thank you so much for your extra 20 minutes for today. Okay. Again, Raju Prabhu, Shirisha Mataji, Samik Mataji, Swapna Mataji, Sapan Prabhu, Sunil Prabhu, Vendela Mataji. Thank you all for your attendance and everyday reading. Every other day we are reading. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu evacha yatidanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hitaaya Gaura Hari Premanande Hari Hari.
Hari.
धन्यवाद प्रणाम प्रभु जी।
Thank
Have
you.
a